In today's increasingly interconnected world, tolerance and acceptance are fundamental values that many societies strive to uphold. However, there are still places where certain communities, particularly Muslims, face discrimination, prejudice, or even outright hostility. This reality can stem from a variety of factors, such as political climates, historical tensions, or cultural differences. While it's important to recognize that these situations can evolve over time and that generalizations may not reflect the diversity of experiences within these countries, this video will explore some countries in 2024 where Muslims may find challenges to being accepted. We will examine the reasons behind these challenges and highlight the broader implications of such exclusionary environments. China remains one of the most significant examples of a country where Muslims are not only unwelcome, but also face severe repression. The Xinjiang region in China is home to a large population of Uyghur Muslims, an ethnic minority group that has been subjected to harsh policies for years. In 2024, reports continue to surface about the Chinese government's treatment of Uyghur Muslims, including mass detentions in so-called re-education camps, forced labor, forced assimilation, and the destruction of Uyghur mosques and cultural landmarks. The Chinese Communist Party has justified these actions by framing them as part of their anti-terrorism efforts, while human rights organizations and global critics have labeled it as genocide and a violation of basic human rights. In recent years, India has seen rising religious tensions, particularly under the leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP), a party with strong Hindu nationalist affiliations. This political shift has made life increasingly difficult for the country's Muslim population, which is one of the largest Muslim communities in the world. While India's constitution guarantees religious freedom, Muslims in the country often face discrimination in areas like education, employment, and housing. The Citizenship Amendment Act (CAA), passed in 2019, further heightened concerns among Muslims, as it provides a pathway to citizenship for non-Muslim refugees from neighboring countries, while excluding Muslim refugees. This move has been widely criticized as discriminatory. Myanmar, formerly Burma, has become infamous for its treatment of the Rohingya Muslims, an ethnic minority group in the western part of the country. The Rohingya people have long faced persecution in Myanmar, with the government refusing to recognize them as one of the country's official ethnic groups, leaving them stateless. The situation reached a boiling point in 2017 when the Myanmar military launched a brutal crackdown on the Rohingya population, which the United Nations and various human rights groups have labeled as ethnic cleansing. Thousands of Rohingya Muslims were killed, and over 1 million were forced to flee to neighboring Bangladesh, where they live in refugee camps. As of 2024, the situation remains dire. The military junta in Myanmar, which took control of the country in 2021, continues to oppress the Rohingya people, preventing them from returning home and blocking humanitarian aid. For Muslims in Myanmar, the situation remains one of intense discrimination and exclusion. France has long prided itself on its secular values, but in recent years, the country has seen increasing challenges related to its Muslim population, especially with the rise of far-right politics. In 2024, Muslims in France continued to face discrimination, particularly with laws that have targeted Islamic practices. One of the most controversial laws is the ban on wearing full-face veils, burqas and niqabs, in public places, which was implemented in 2011. In 2024, this law remains in effect, with many Muslims viewing it as an attack on their religious freedom. Additionally, there have been widespread debates about Islamic schools, religious symbols, and the construction of mosques, with some far-right groups pushing for stricter regulations. Muslim women in particular face the brunt of this hostility. The burden of the burqa ban has led to a sense of exclusion, with many feeling like they are being punished for their faith. At the same time, a rise in Islamophobic hate crimes and discriminatory policies has made life more difficult for Muslims in France, leading many to feel unwelcome in the country. Russia, a vast country with a significant Muslim minority, has seen rising anti-Muslim sentiment in recent years, particularly under the leadership of President Vladimir Putin. While Muslims in Russia have historically lived in relative peace, there has been a noticeable increase in Islamophobia, especially in the aftermath of the Chechen wars and the ongoing war in Syria. The government has frequently associated Islam with terrorism, especially in relation to the Chechen separatist movement and other insurgencies in the North Caucasus region. This association has led to negative stereotypes about Muslims and has fostered discrimination in employment, housing, and education. Muslim minorities in Russia also face challenges in practicing their faith freely, with restrictions on the construction of mosques and limitations on the public expression of Islamic customs. In some areas, there have been reports of harassment and violence against Muslims, making it a country where Muslims may feel increasingly unwelcome in the current climate. Saudi Arabia Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam, is a country with a deeply ingrained Islamic culture, and its government follows a strict interpretation of Sharia law. While the country is welcoming to Muslims, especially those traveling for the Hajj pilgrimage, non-Muslims often face significant challenges in the kingdom. In Saudi Arabia, religious freedom is severely restricted. The practice of any religion other than Islam is illegal, and non-Muslims cannot openly worship or display religious symbols. There are no churches or synagogues, and proselytizing by non-Muslims is prohibited. Though there are some recent signs of openness, particularly under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 initiative, which aims to modernize the economy and attract foreign investment, the social and political environment remains hostile to non-Muslims. This has created an atmosphere where Muslims from different sects, especially those belonging to Shia Islam, sometimes face discrimination or persecution as well. Israel is a country where religious tensions are high, particularly between the Jewish majority and the Muslim Palestinian minority. Although Israel recognizes Islam as one of its official religions, Muslims, especially those living in the occupied Palestinian territories, often face systemic discrimination, exclusion, and violence. The Israeli government has been accused of practicing apartheid-like policies, particularly against Palestinians living in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The Israeli military's treatment of Palestinians, including Muslim civilians, has led to accusations of human rights violations from various international bodies. Palestinian Muslims in Israel itself also face challenges, including discriminatory policies in housing, education, and employment. The ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict has created an environment in which Muslims, especially those of Palestinian origin, are marginalized and oppressed. Greece. While Greece is home to a small Muslim minority, particularly in the region of Thrace, Muslims in the country continue to face challenges related to xenophobia and rising anti-Muslim sentiment. The economic crisis that Greece faced in the past decade, combined with an influx of refugees from Muslim-majority countries, has created a volatile environment for Muslims. The far-right political party Golden Dawn, which gained popularity in Greece during the country's financial crisis, has espoused openly Islamophobic rhetoric and led anti-Muslim protests. Although Golden Dawn has seen a decline in influence in recent years, the underlying sentiment remains a problem, and Muslims in Greece often face discrimination in areas like employment, housing, and public services. Bulgaria, a country with a majority Orthodox Christian population, has seen a rise in nationalism and anti-Muslim sentiment in recent years. The country is home to a significant Muslim minority, primarily of Turkish and Roma descent, but these communities have historically faced marginalization. In 2024, Muslims in Bulgaria continued to be targeted by nationalist groups with rhetoric that links Islam to terrorism and extremism. The rise of populist far-right political movements has exacerbated these tensions, leading to increased violence and discrimination against the Muslim population. The global challenge of Islamophobia. While some countries have made strides toward inclusion, others continue to harbor or even institutionalize prejudice and discrimination. It is crucial that global efforts continue to address Islamophobia, promote tolerance, and protect the rights of Muslims around the world. Only through mutual understanding, respect, and dialogue can we hope to overcome these challenges and create a more inclusive world for all. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and comment your thoughts.